I have a book haul. This is so heavy. Hello guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Sarah and today I have a slightly different video. I have a few hobbies I love, but I'm not as equally obsessed with them at the same time currently. I love books. I love reading books, but more so buying books, and that's what today is about. I'm sure every one of us has heard this saying or like justification of how reading books and buying books are two completely different hobbies, and that's my philosophy. So I have quite a few books to show you today. Maybe you'll find your next read in here. I'm sure I'm going to show you some books you've heard of and also seen, maybe even read, and others you haven't yet, which is very exciting. And it's gonna be fun because I have books from bookstores, from other stores, books I've already unboxed, and books I'll be unboxing. I love unboxings. So stay tuned if you're interested, and let's get started. So the very first book I originally did not want to get. I've heard quite a lot about it, but it never caught my attention until I went into a bookstore to get a different book, and then I browsed through all of the books. It's Breasts and Eggs, and I'm very sorry, there are going to be a few Japanese names now and I will butcher them for sure. I will fail miserably pronouncing these, but this book is by Miyako Kawakami and it's divided into two books. In the first one we meet three women in the suburbs of Tokyo. We meet 30-year-old Natsuko and her older sister Makiko, who comes to the city, I think, in order to get an enhancement because she can't deal with her good looks like fading. And accompanying her is her teenage daughter Midoriko, who recently stopped talking. And while they are together in Natsuko's rundown apartment, they slowly confront their individual anxieties. And then we have like an 8-year time jump and we are reunited with Natsuko, who is now a writer, and she returns to her native city, so I suppose that's Tokyo, and she's reunited with all of the memories that happened during the summer. All of them were together, and is also now facing her own uncertain future. And it says here on the back, a radical and intimate portrait of contemporary working class womanhood, Breasts and Eggs recounts the heartbreaking journeys of three women in a society where the odds are stacked against them. I expect a lot of generational trauma, existential crisis, like talking about relationships in general and what is important in life, I feel like. So we'll see. I have high expectations for this one because it sounds so good. And then I ordered two books I feel like everyone and their mother has heard about, especially the next one I'm showing you. My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Atessa Mashwag. It's basically about a young woman who seemingly has everything someone could wish for, but she's currently going through the loss of her parents, and she has a very unhealthy coping mechanism. The reason I picked it up was because I was reading The Bell Jar and I really liked the unhingedness, and I think that this one is much more about like the isolation state when you're not doing well, and I'm here for that. Like, I need that in my life. The next one I've seen on Instagram so many times, and every time I saw it I was like, what is this book? It's The Virgin Suicides, and probably one of the most beautiful books I own. It's about the 5 Lisbon sisters who are beautiful, eccentric, and now all gone because they all committed suicide, as the title suggests. And although all of the boys that once loved them from afar have all grown up now, they are determined to find out and also understand what happened with them. And the question persists, why did all 5 of the Lisbon sisters take their own lives? So this sounds very intriguing, very interesting. And then the next one I've shown in one of my vlogs, I think, but I'm never going to shut up about it. Never. I got The Bell Jar in English because I read it in German, and I want to reread it because it feels like a potential 5 stars read, and I have a weird rating system. I'm sure someone has a similar one, but I only give 5 stars if I reread a book and like it just as much or even more. And I decided to reread it in English. So we'll see. Now we are unboxing our first 2 packages. I'm kind of going in order of when I got the books or when I received the books. The bigger one came first, so that's what I'm going to start with. I love unboxings. I'm so excited. I have no idea what's in here, but we'll see, we'll see. There are 3 books in here. Okay, so the first book is by Annie Ernaux, who won the Nobel Prize for Literature last year. And I was on Instagram, and I love Bookstagram. There was a picture of books being stacked up against the wall, and I love these pictures, and I thought it would be just a picture like of the books, and then I kept swiping and there was a book page with a paragraph being underlined, and I read it and I kept reading, and then I went to the comment section in order to find out what book it was, but I couldn't find anything other than that the book was by Ernaux. And then I swiped to the first pick, and that's where I realized that the book in the center, like of the stacked up books, was The Shame by Annie Ernaux. Definitely check out trigger warnings for this book. I feel like all of them are quite heavy, so do that in case you are interested. This is definitely a very anticipated read of mine. Annie Ernaux in general writes autobiographical books, and this one is actually about something that happened in her childhood. As much as I know, it's about her father tried to kill her mother in front of her, and I guess she tried to process it by writing about it. The next one, I've talked about this with some of my friends who are Slavic as well, but being honest, this book is hilarious to me. Why? Because it's called Vladimir, and it's by Julia May Jonas, and the guy on this cover, like if this would be a white shirt, even more, or like a tank top, a white tank top, this is like the definition of a Slavic guy. An unbuttoned shirt and a chain. Like that's as Slavic as it gets. Jokes aside now, this is about a popular English teacher or like professor at a college. She's married to a guy, a man that works at the same college as she does, and he's currently under investigation because he had inappropriate relationships with former students. They actually have an understanding for each other's needs, and that's why they have an open relationship, but that took it a step too far. And then Vladimir, a celebrated and married young novelist, enters the picture and makes everything even more complicated. The next book is probably one of my most anticipated reads of this year. I saw this one in the bookstore and I wanted to get it in English, but it did not have it. I got a hardcover version. I did not know that. I thought I ordered a paperback, but it doesn't matter. I got The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas, and this is a book about a matter a lot of people are still affected by, unfortunately. To be specific, a lot of Black people are affected by. This book is about 16-year-old Star Carter, and she had to watch her childhood best friend Khalil getting shot by the police, and now his death is a national headline. And it turns out that the police has little interest in investigating this incident. So protesters take the street and Star's neighborhood becomes a war zone. Everyone is asking themselves what happened, and the only one who can answer that question is Star. And she's now very conflicted on what she should do, and also about how far she should actually go. Next book we're going to unbox. I have no idea what's in here. I can't open it. Ooh! I'm very excited for this one. Amazon! Like, why? Why? Ah, I hate when that happens. Doesn't matter, it's okay. So this is When You Were Everything by Ashley Woodfolk. This book is about Cleo, who lost her best friend, but not in a sense of like she died or anything, but they just stopped being friends, and now she has to navigate through that. I struggle with friendships quite a lot, so I'm very excited for this one. Then we have 3 books I got at a store. I initially wanted to get 6, but then I called my mom and was like, Mama, I need your help. I have 6 books here and I want to get all of them, but I shouldn't. Like, which ones should I pick? And she helped me. The first one was a no-brainer. This one is called Kiss Mommy Goodbye. I want to do a whole vlog of like reading thrillers for a week, and this is one of them. Even though it's not labeled as one, listen to this. It's about a woman who gets divorced, and that's basically where or when the mental abuse started already. But then this guy decides to kidnap their children, and now she wants them back, of course. I mean, who wouldn't? She's basically on a search for them throughout America. I don't know how you feel about it, but I'm calling it a thriller. I don't care. The next one is The Whisper Man. I think it is called in English. Yeah, The Whisper Man. This one says it's a novel, but in here it's labeled as a thriller. It's about a detective inspector named Pete Willis and his colleague Amanda Beck, who once investigated on a case where a man lurked in little boys and then kidnapped them, and then they were found dead. The Whisper Man, is in prison now, but I think 20 years later, something similar to what happened back then happens again, and they're alarmed, of course. Ever since they first investigated that case, they were positive that he works with someone, and now this whole case unravels once again. And then the last one is called Good Girl, Bad Girl in English, and it's about a psychologist who went through something traumatic in his past. Now he works with the police, and he got called in because of a brutal murder. That's where or when he meets Evie, and Evie was also kidnapped as a child, made it out there, I guess you could say. But ever since then, she grew up to be an unpredictable and very intelligent young woman, and she has a very good intuition when it comes to people lying to her, and that not only endangers her but Cyrus, the psychologist, as well, while they're investigating, or he's investigating. Sounds very interesting. Which one's that? That's weird. Amazon said that this would be delivered late and that I still haven't received it, but now it's here. Also a very anticipated read, The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. I had to. This book is about Piccola Breedlove, a young black girl, and she prays every day for beauty. Now, what is beauty in her eyes? Of course, blonde hair and blue eyes. and that's so devastating to me. Like, that hurts my soul. So I felt like picking it up, and it says here on the back, a brilliant examination of our obsession with beauty and conformity. Toni Morrison's first novel asks powerful questions about race, class, and gender with subtlety and grace that have always characterized her writing. I also want to read Beloved, definitely. But I have to see for myself first whether or not I can read her books in English. What's in here? Oh! Oh! So first we got The Handmaid's Tale. Very interesting copy. There's a smaller book in here. I have no idea what this is, but I got The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. Is that how you pronounce Margaret? I don't know. I'm sorry. But a classic. I wanted to read this one since last year, I think. It's a dystopian novel, I guess you could say, based in the future, but we're actually going back in time because women don't have any rights and they're basically just there for men. Like, that's a conclusion of the plot in a very like stupid way, but that's essentially what this book is about, and I had to read it. It says here, the Republic of Gilead, I don't know, offers Offred only one option: to breed. Yeah, sounds like A Wonderful Life. Icebreaker. I don't read that many romance novels, but I want to get into it actually, and I've heard so many interesting things about this book, and I had to pick it up because I'm obsessed with ice skating and I want the full experience, and this is going to be my next read. Why? Because it's spring. I would say it's spring. It's a lot warmer than it used to be a few months ago. I mean, duh, but it's very warm here now, and I hate my baby hair. Wait a second. I have to like pin this back. It's so annoying. Anyway, so I want the full experience to this book. I want to go ice skating, but it's so warm outside. All of the outdoor ice skating places have closed by now, and I don't know if I'm able to go anywhere indoors. So I'm crossing my fingers because I want the full experience. I'm very excited for this. I think it's like enemies to lovers and also forced proximity. We're onto the last two books. Oh my gosh, this is like the best packaging ever. I know my book is going to look awesome in here. I have a feeling of what this book could be. Yeah, I'm so excited for this one. Like, when I smiled, my other baby hair just jumped out. Wait. So I kind of have a feeling for who my favorite authors might be, and Sylvia Plath is one of them, and I bought the journals of Sylvia Plath because I want to know more about her. Usually I'm against buying books like these and reading books like these, but you get such an insight, whether that's their writing style or their personality, doesn't matter. That's the same how I felt about Franz Kafka's Letter to the Father. When I first read it, I didn't want to because I was like, that's something so personal, and he didn't even send it to his father, so why would he want millions and millions of people to read this? Like, it doesn't make any sense. But I have to admit, once I reread it or like read it on my own, for my own, most of his books made so much more sense, and I hope this will be the same case for Sylvia Plath and this book. I didn't expect it to be this huge, like this thick. And then the very last book for today. I'm going to order more though. next week. So there will be not a part 2 but a second book haul. I saw this book in the bookstore as well, and I didn't like the copy the bookstore had, like the design of it, and it was in German too, and I wanted to read this in English. It's Give a Boy a Gun. I'm pretty sure we can make up by the title what this is about, but it's about a school shooting, and I had to read this one. Fortunately, I don't know anyone who experienced something like this here. I feel like it's not that much of an issue here, thankfully. I hope that's gonna stay like that forever, but I feel like fascinated is the wrong word for it, but I don't have any other in my mind right now. I got the 20th anniversary edition. Again, I can't wait to read this one. I really like all of the books I got. I'm so excited to be reading all of them. I have high hopes for a lot of them. So that's the end of the video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Bye! Mwah. Now I have to check if I got all of the books. Like, the bluest eye threw me off.